When 9/11 happened in USA, I think people in USA mostly felt about the need uh, to engage in interfaith dialogue, especially to understand other religions and engage in conversations about war, about peace, about suffering, and about forgiveness, and what does Islam mean. So I think we are also in that kind of a situation right now. So Shanaz, I'm glad you are with us today. We welcome you, Shanaz Marika, to our program. Welcome.
Thank you, Chitra. I'm glad to be here.
So so I think so. This is a. I like to frame this as more like a conversation between two individuals. Uh, Here you are, Muslim female who follows Islam faith, and I'm a
Yes.
Sinhalese man who follows Christian faith. Yet we are both originally from Sri Lanka. We are Sri Lankans, so
Yes.
there's some similarities as well.
Yes.
So now I know, Shanaz, you believe in dialogue, this cross-cultural, cross-religious, cross-ethnic, all those dialogues. But why do you think it's needed more than ever now? Why?
I think the world has come to a place with all this terrorism and all that stuff has happened, and there's Islamophobia and all kind of the negative impact on different religions. So I think with education and communication and greater dialogue, that we can kind of address these issues, kind of to show like this is not what the majority believes. Could be it's a set of minorities kind of viewpoint, but the majority of whether it's the Muslims or the Christians, they all believe in peace, and you know what I mean, believe in doing good. So that's why I think the dialogue, sometimes there's a misinterpretation, miscommunication, and how it's portrayed in the world and the media, sometimes a negative impact, right? So that's why I think it's good to like have these conversations more and more, so that people feel from both sides how each other feels. And I think communication in anything, whether it's at work or at home, whenever there's a problem, that's the best mode of addressing an issue.
Now, Shanaz, when talking about the Easter bombing, now when I first heard about this, obviously I was very angry because this happened on an Easter Sunday. And as a Christian, I felt that because Easter is all about the life. Really,
Yeah.
it's what we celebrate. It was the Jesus' resurrection, new life. Jesus, in the way we believe, Jesus defeated the death
Yeah.
and rose again. And here we are, death, encounter with death, and this anger, this frustration. In fact, it's more like I really at one point I even blamed God. Why you let this happen? These innocent people, children, women. I mean, all these. Uh, Now, when this happened, what was when you first heard this? What was your first thought? What's the
I was horrified, just as you were. I was in a state of shock because I mean, my friends, like I studied at Holy Family Convent, as you know, and most of my friends are Catholics, and they go to that, the Kochikade Palli and stuff like that. So I was really afraid for them. I thought something happened to them. I was calling all my friends. I mean, I couldn't believe this really happened. I was in a state of shock. And I mean, as a Muslim, as a human being, I think we all, like all the Muslims in Sri Lanka, totally condemn it. I mean, I think it was a horrible thing to do. I don't think they even served any purpose. There was no reason to go and kill innocent lives. None of those people who went to that church or the people from the Christian faith has ever done anything to the Muslims. There was no reason for something like this to ever occur. So it's I mean, unacceptable as a Muslim for something like that to ever like happen and like cause that much of death. and chaos and misery to the poor people who were just innocent human beings, and there was no reason for it. And I think I was like, not only I was like shocked and angry, just like you were. I was so angry because why would a couple of people, like, 4 or 5, whatever that was, to go and, in the name, I mean, not only tarnish the Muslim faith, I mean, Islamic faith and all the Muslims in Sri Lanka. And at this area where like we have so much of negative talk going on in the world, to have something like that, what did they really achieve? There was no agenda. Like, what did you hope to gain out of it? So that was like, just first of all, I was shocked and then angry, and I was like, and then scared for my friends, and because in Sri Lanka, like, we didn't care which religion, you know when we associate people, whether it's Muslim or Christian or Buddhist or Hindu, it didn't matter. That's the last thing we asked: what religion are you? We first ask the name, and that's how we communicate with each other. We don't ask what religion are you and then start making friends. So why would something like this happen to them? It was like unfathomable. And why even this happened? So I was not only shocked, angry, I was scared for my friends and the rest of the community there. And it was a horrible thing, a horrible, horrible thing. And I think I would like totally condemn what really happened. And I think on behalf of the Muslim too, I think this is this kind of terrorist act. There's no place in Islam or in, as a Muslim. First of all, suicide is haram, like basically it's prohibited in Islam. So even the person who did this as a suicide bombing, even they were going to go to hell. So why would you even do something like this? Not if you know that you're going to go to hell too. Like it's just it doesn't make sense.
But it's interesting that you made that point that they go to hell. But this is some, I don't know, maybe this is wrong belief that somehow they do it so that they could go to heaven and have these virgins and all this. Is this not true?
So I know it's not. I think it's like I think they are like probably brainwashed, or like, they're not knowledgeable, and they haven't been properly guided. They're misguided youth, or adults, and I think they don't know the real Islam. I don't know what they really think. It's like a cult. I think it's more like that. And I don't think in Islam, the word Islam means peace. That is the meaning of Islam. When we say, when we drink something, or when we start a prayer, when we eat something, we go somewhere, we say Bismillah Rahmanir Rahim. It means like the most merciful, so something, that's how we start. Like, so for you to have first thing is mercy, even if somebody did something to you, like that's how we start anything. So that's the first thing, like like we say. So because God is the most merciful. So even if you're hurt about anything, you're supposed to show mercy to anyone. So that's what Islam talks about. So there's no reason, even like when we address as Muslims to each other, we say Assalamu alaikum. That means peace be upon you. That's what we say. So it's not about you did something to me, let me, like you don't do that. So that is why it's just, there is no basis for this, and for whatever they did, and I hope they pay. I mean, they should go to hell, and I'm sure they will, right? But it's not, I don't think this is, I don't even have words to say really, like to express it.
Now, as Christians, now we believe Jesus is the Son of God and the Messiah, the Savior that we have expected for generations. And of course, the Christianity is, if not the world's largest religion, one of the largest religions with about 2.4 billion followers. And when we think about Christianity, it's about love, it's about forgiveness, especially forgiving the enemy. And so just can you just, I mean, you talk a little bit about it. Can you talk a little bit about Islam? What is Islam?
Yeah, so Islam means, the word means peace, right? And like I said, when we meet anyone, we say Assalamu alaikum. That means peace upon. Peace is the heart of Islam, So even the name of it is peace. So for you to like have I mean, it's based on that, so like, and the most, like, for example, when we, like I said, the prayer, we say Bismillah Rahman Rahim, that is mercy, showing mercy, in the name of God, most merciful and most beautiful. That's what we start anything with. So for, I mean, that is the same as what Christians believe. I think the Christianity and Islam believes almost the same thing. You know what I mean? So is, I think, Judaism. Most religions talk about peace and, having mercy and, forgiving each other. That's what they talk about. So I think we all are all, even in Islam, we all Adam's children. We all came from the same, a tree, basically, right? We may have gone through different paths over the years as time went along, but we all came from the root of the tree is basically God created Adam, right? So, and we also believe, like the Satan, he was an angel, and God was the most, like the human, when he created man was the most precious creature he created, right? So, and even how Satan was, because he was told to bow down to Adam, and he refused to bow down, and that's why God made him Satan. That's why we call him Satan. You know what I mean? So because man itself is the most, loved creature by God. So I think even Christians believe the same thing. So we have, all the stories, whether it's Abraham to the Moses' era, to Noah's era, to all that, it's almost the same. So, and the crust of both religions preaches the same thing. We all believe in one God, and we believe in heaven and earth, and we believe on Judgment Day. We both believe like Jesus is coming back when the world is going to end to kill the Antichrist. So it's, so we are more similar, we are more alike, and then not alike, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, that's why we are called these Abrahamic religions, the Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. I think we believe that Abraham is the first prophet, I think. And so that in a way, we are kind of brothers and sisters religiously, I think, these
Yeah.
three religions, especially.
Yeah. And also, like when we do Hajj, like basically, God asked Abraham to build a house of worshiping, the Kaaba, like where we go to Hajj for the pilgrimage. That is basically started by Abraham. And then they had idols and all that after Abraham's time. And then Muslim, the Prophet Muhammad came up, then he kind of like basically at the end, like preached Islam. And then, of course, he doesn't believe in idols and stuff like that. The idols were taken out. At the time of Abraham, there was no idols. But then when Prophet started teaching Islam, then, and then that became again the house of the worshiping, the main place to worship, So that's why we still go to Hajj every year as a pilgrimage. And that started with Abraham, Abraham's time. And then about the Ishmael, the same story, like basically, he was born, and then God asked him to make the biggest sacrifice, right? And to take him to the desert to kill it, basically, and so sacrifice him. So, and that's where, so we believe, so then, of course, he asked the animal to be sacrificed instead of him. And that's what we do at Qurban. When we sacrifice an animal, the cow, the goat, the camel, or, every year, that is basically a same kind of commemorating the same sacrifice, what Abraham did, remembrance of him. That's why we call it Sunnah. So we do that every Hajj around that time. So Hajj is not about celebrating and having friends over. It's part of it, yes, wearing new clothes and exchanging gifts and all that. It's a part of celebration, but it's actually commemorating exactly remembrance of Abraham, remembrance of Ishmael, remembrance of then even the water which came out in the desert in Mina. That was what we call Zamzam water. So that's what they bring from Kaaba, from same at that time. So that's what I'm saying. All our history and everything comes from the same root. So there's no, I don't know why there's this division, and that's why this, animosity or any kind of, thinking this, one is better than the other. I mean, we all believe in one God, right? We all came from the same root. So I think education, communication, and greater dialogue can kind of resolve a lot of the issues which, like in any conflict.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, those who do not know about Christianity, that Shinas mentioned, Abraham had two sons, basically, Isaac, and then Isaac had a stepbrother, Ishmael, and
Yes.
whom Abraham got from one of the servants. And then something happened; they were not getting along. So there's some kind of animosity at that time. But anyway, they are kind of stepbrothers. Now, we understand there's a lot of similarities. What about the differences between the Christian, at least in the way you?
So only like the difference started basically. I mean, we still believe Mother Mary was a virgin,
Yeah.
and she was a Virgin Mary, and Jesus was a prophet, right? So the difference is, I like the Christians believe Jesus was God, right? And Son, Holy
Son
Spirit,
of God.
and he was. So, but in Christianity, in Islam, we believe he was a prophet, just like Muhammad was, right? And so after Jesus's time, after he was taken to heaven, we believe like the next prophet came around to continue the same path. Kind of people were going astray, and we need to show them the right way, basically teach, show them that there's one God, because people started like going back to doing. So every time a prophet came down to earth, within that they had to, God sent a different prophet again, just to make sure like people are actually following the right path, right? People were sometimes misguided, they were going astray. So that's when Jesus came in, and then after that Muhammad came in. So up to the Old Testament, it's almost the same, the history wise. But what the Muslims believe is that he wasn't crucified. There was somebody else was crucified instead of him, right? And so that's the difference. Kind of like kind of the Muslims and the Christians at the end, kind of there's a different. The Christians believe like, okay, he was he sacrificed himself, right? And he died and he was reborn. And the Muslims believe that he wasn't killed. Somebody else was killed on behalf of him. So there's a difference.
Now, getting back to the Easter bomb attack. Now, I know you were, like you said, you're angry, you're upset, sad, and all that. Do you think that's how the majority of Muslims in Sri Lanka felt that?
Yeah, I think everyone I've spoken to, like, I mean, everyone I know in Sri Lanka and even here, like the Muslims who live here too, everyone was so angry and devastated with the whole thing. They couldn't even believe it. Like, and I just, and we, it doesn't make sense, like why a horrible act like this could be, performed on, especially on Easter Sunday, and then, and at a church, because that's the number one. For example, like I'll give you an example, like when Prophet Muhammad was there, like he was preaching, Islam. There was a time, at that time, there were people were practicing idol worshiping as well, right? But then he came, then the four of the leaders of that group, right? The non-believers, we call it, who doesn't believe in Islam, they came and they said, you know what, let's do one day have a treaty, like, and one day we'll believe your religion. The next day we believe you all believe our religion, like, you follow our one. So one day you'll worship idols, the next day you'll will pray to God, right? So let's do that. So then at that time, God sent this surah called Surah Kafirun. And it says, I can actually read it to you exactly what it says. So, so the God said basically at that time, say, O believers, I do not worship what you worship, nor are you worshippers of what I worship, nor will I be a worshipper of what you worship, nor will you be a worshipper of what I worship. For you is your religion, and for me is my religion. So in the last sentence in that, it says, Lakum dinakum waliyad-din. That means you practice your religion, I will practice my religion. That means you don't go fighting with other people because they don't believe in your religion. You don't go kill other people because they don't believe in what you believe. You let them, if they, Islam, like if they believe in your faith, you can teach them. If they want to follow you, great. You guide them, teach them. If they don't want to follow you, that's okay. Let them follow their religion. You go along or follow your religion. That's what God said. So that's what I'm saying. So nobody is supposed to force anybody to follow any religion. really. So yeah, so this is what the real Islam talks about. And for us to, for people who doesn't know this, that's why they keep fighting with different people. Islam doesn't talk about go, force yourself on other people, go kill people, like have this kind of terrorist act like going on. Like, this is crazy. So I think these guys are kind of misguided, and it's just a horrible, horrible thing. I mean, it's just I don't know why it happened. Like we could have prevented it, maybe, but I hope in the future we will learn from our lessons learned, and this can be prevented. Not only just educating the youth, hold people accountable for what they did, and then kind of and condemn it. Basically, don't have them, don't even associate any of them. Basically, just somehow. I mean, I think none of the normal Muslims do. So I think it's just it's really sad.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, I think, yeah, any religion, I think we know there's violent elements are there, or radical elements are there. I think Christianity, we have seen, even in this country, you have some this how can I say, I don't call them Christians, but they call themselves Christians. This bomb, this abortion clinics, and all that.
yeah,
But now, there's another side to it. I think people say, I mean, why these Muslim communities cannot blend easily with the majority communities, or follow the laws, the what other people follow, or at least respect the laws, or they have their, without having their own laws or own banks. So
yeah.
that's one of the criticisms, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I understand what you're saying. So basically, that is also again education, and they don't really know. So, like the Muslims, when you say Sharia, means it's a struggle. It's not a mean. It doesn't mean anything else. Struggle means of the soul, battle within your soul to eliminate the bad, to do the good. That means focus on the good deeds, focus on prayer, focus on self improvement, and basically, like in Buddhism, they say detached from material things. That's what it means. So and also the other thing, it's a kind of a path, like, basically it's a life guide. Sharia means a life guide, how you have, fast, how you pray about marriage, divorce, and all that. Because even at that time, the path, the Sharia law, they call it, it's just a path, path how to, even about inheritance. For example, when you do finances, do the right thing, follow the right, and for example, like in marriage, they say, a guy has to give mahar. They don't believe in dowry. You're supposed to give the girl, so it's the opposite of what, so kind of which is practiced, right? So like so when you have the nikah ceremony, the marriage ceremony, the guy is supposed to give something to the girl, right? That is mandatory in Islam. So, and about fasting, right? It's about praying, it's about finance, it's about all that. So it's not about really and it's all about good, doing the good thing, you know what I mean? And within ourselves, like, do the right thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what it means. It's just follow in the path of God, and kind of in the good things. Yeah.
No, one of the things I'm struggling as a Christian also is, like, as a Christian, I believe in forgiveness. In other words, even somebody has done some very unspeakable, violent acts, still, there's a forgiveness side for me as a Christian. But then there's also accountability. You can't just forgive somebody
Yeah, of
without
course.
real repentance, or without that accountability factor is there.
Mhm.
So this is something I think I'm sure all Christians are struggling with. Not
Yeah,
that they hate even these people who have done it, but
yeah,
still, but
yeah.
there has to be accountability.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they have to be 1,000% accountable for what they did. And I believe, like in our faith, God will teach them a lesson. he will, like we believe in hell, and we all believe in judgment day. On judgment day, he will be judged, right? Because for the horrible acts they did, they will be judged on judgment day, just like what the Christians believe, right? So, but at the same time, we all, if they're alive, we have a legal path to kind of, hold them accountable. If they have a death penalty, we can do that. So unfortunately, some of them are not even, they are not even alive to account for them, and it's just a small minority. So we have about 1.9 billion Muslims in the world, right? So like for example 9/11, like 4 or 5 people cannot represent 1.9 billion Muslims in the world. Even in Sri Lanka, we have let's say 10% of the Muslims. So 4 or 5 people cannot really, for the 9.99% of the Muslims, cannot really represent Muslim faith, Islamic faith, right? So they cannot be the ambassador of Islam. And so is what happened in 9/11. Those 4 or 5 guys who did whatever they did, they cannot be the ambassador of Islam and say okay, this is what Islam portrays. What happens to rest of the people? It's 1.9 billion, it's like 25% of the world population, so it's just so that it's so, as much as it's a horrible thing, and we, if there's a way to, we as human beings can hold them accountable, we will, but at the end of the day, we always believe there's a judgment day and God will judge them, and that's, I truly believe that. And and whatever they did, they will get that 10 times more, or maybe 100 times more.
Now, how does the most of the Muslims across the world feel about extremism? And is there are they taking actions to at least to minimize it or to avoid it? What?
I think extremism is in every part of, really in different sect, right? Whether it's even we have white supremacists here, yeah, right? So it's just it's difficult to really curtail it, but like I said, if there's a way we can educate them, we can assimilate them into the rest of the people, you know what I mean? Teach them and guide them. I think the guidance is very crucial, you know what I mean? Greater dialogue, and have them assimilate with the rest of the people, and know if there's something like that going on, we need to be aware of it, so kind of and each other communicate with it. So I think that will be kind of the key, so that they can see even if they were doing something wrong, because in Islam, we believe the foundation of the whole thing is the family, right? And even in Christianity, we believe the basic, to run a village, it should start with the family. If the family is right, they are going on the right path, then everything else falls into place, right? So then it comes to a little city, then a village, then everything will be fine. But if the family is broken, if they're not, and if the one family is broken, then another family who's seeing what's happening, they need to help them out and say, guide them in the right path. Say, hey, this is wrong. This is not what you should be doing. So kind of somehow interact with them, and kind of teach them and show them and guide them. That's the key, I think, for any kind of extremism. And also educate them, because if we don't talk about it, like you and I talk about it, everybody's isolated in their own little places, so they don't know exactly if what does Islam mean, what does Christianity means. I know because I studied at a convent, up to my O levels, so I know, kind of and I have Christian friends and stuff, but if this group only assimilates only within that, they have no idea, they were never taught anything, they never, so they don't know what. And so is the Christians, if they don't move with the Muslims and get to know and understand, and so is the Buddhist, right? I think even the clergy, right, if they actually communicate and and see oh, we are so much alike, then we are different, so that's, I think, is the key. Yeah. Having greater dialogue. Here we have Rumi Forum, even in colleges, even in schools, teach each other's religion. I think there was a section in the religious book, they talk about each religion is the first chapter in school, right? Something so have that as integral part of the educational system, so everybody learns about everybody's religion, kind of, you of course have your right to follow what religion you want to go to and practice in the future. I'm just saying, even within the school system, maybe teach about peace, teach about, integration, kind of have it, so they learn about each other. And then they would know, okay, the religions speak about the same thing. It's all about peace, all about doing the right thing. It's all about humanity. So I think that's the key.
Yeah, I mean, if you really don't know the other person or the religion, or it's easy to vilify and make them villains and all that. But if you know each other, I think it's not that easy. I think that's why sometimes people purposely avoid knowing the other party or other group, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite. I would, if I don't know something, I'm the person who go and reach out to say hello, and I'll learn about it, right? If I don't know something. And that's just me. I guess that's my inquisitive mind, right?
yeah.
So I mean, I came here as a young girl. I mean, but I still fast, I still pray, I do all the, stuff as a Muslim would do. I never, drank or, smoked or anything like that. So if you have that, basic kind of culture, but there's nothing wrong with going and saying hello to somebody, and saying, introducing yourself and having a discussion, having a good dialogue. So you kind of like learn each other, and they may learn something from you. I can learn something from them, so yeah.
So, I mean, my last question, I think we don't have a lot of time now. Now, how do you think, like, how can we move forward by learning lessons? And, obviously there's so much to learn from that, but at least to move forward from what happened from our, and then, because you cannot live in the past. So obviously we have to move forward, and then not to let these outside forces to divide us as ethnic groups, because we are as all one nation. We have Sri Lankans. What do you think?
I think you're right. Like Cardinal Malcolm, he really put it really well, and I have to commend him. He really handled the situation admiringly, like amazingly well. I've known him as a teenager, like as a part of a young Leo. But I think even what he said was basically, you can't, when something happens, people try to politicize it. So you have to get away from the politics and look at the source and look and address it, and see, like, this is not that, there could be other forces kind of trying to stir things up. So you should try to be mindful and try to calm the situation and see how can we avoid this, take steps, like, from lessons learned from what happened. How do we, if you got a complaint about something, go investigate it, see what's going on, learn about it, and if you see some people are doing something, you can go check it out, and or let the authorities know or whatever, right? And also, like, even if you see somebody's going astray, talk to them, have a discussion, educate them. I think us all being vigilant, us all communicating with each other, and always having, like, just because one or two people did bad things, that doesn't mean everybody is bad, so let's see how we can resolve it, come together as one nation, right? As one people, as children of Adam, let's get together and see how can we, move forward from this and learn from what has happened, and then and try to this never to happen again, try to prevent it. That's the key, basically. This should never happen. I mean, this horrible thing, which we totally condemn, this should never ever happen in at least anywhere in the world. That's my hope. And that's, and that's my, I have hope. I hope that, yeah, this is my hope for the world. And if I had any shortcomings in today's meeting, I apologize for it. I do the best I can, right? And so forgive me. But otherwise, I think my message is to tell the truth, be an ambassador of peace and hope. That's my goal. And I hope every person in Sri Lanka will, have the same direction. I think then we can all be good human beings.
That's true. That's true. I mean, because I think they have this saying that we say that instead of curse in the darkness, light a candle, because we all need hope, I think. And then we all have certain responsibilities for that. I think instead of blaming somebody or find faults of somebody or try to talk always about our differences, I think there are so much commonalities we have that we can celebrate, I think, right?
Yeah,
Even I
absolutely.
think probably you in Islam also probably this is true, but in Christianity we say this concept of unity in diversity. Yeah,
Absolutely.
we have a lot of diversity, but then there's some commonality, some unity. So we have to
Yeah.
celebrate that.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we need. I think as a nation we have beautiful nation, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of positive things happening, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. You're on the, I mean, you hit the nail on the thing. That's what we need really, because it's a beautiful country and made with beautiful people, a lot of smart, intelligent, people. And I think we can come out of this. I think we are smarter than this. We should not let this divide us, because that means they won.
Yes.
The bad people won
Yeah.
if that happened. And we should never let the bad win. We need to make the good win. And that should be the goal. Yeah.
I think that's with those words, I think we can finish this. So, Shanice, thank you so much for joining with us and let's have this conversation. It's a kind of new thing, at least for Sri Lanka. We kind of did this so that we can at least bring different perspectives on certain subjects.
But thank you so much for having me, Chitral. I really appreciate it. And to all my brothers and sisters, if I had any shortcomings, I apologize. But hopefully, I did what I could. And thank you so much for having me. Really, I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And thanks for joining. And so hopefully some other topic we'll meet some other time. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye. Have a good night. Bye.